Yo, what's up, sports bettors? Happy hour. We're going to be going through six early NBA player props for tomorrow. We got 76ers, Celtics on Sunday, as well as Nuggets Suns. I have six really good player props, so let's just go ahead. Let's get into it. My first play is from the OddsJam Sportsbook screen. So you just go to screen, and then you go to Sportsbook screen. And basically what this tool does is it reads in data from the entire market, and then you can kind of scan around and look for value. So the first player prop I ended up going with, which is a bit interesting because I have another play on Ayton, but regardless, is Ayton under 25.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. So my play is going to be on Parlay Play. This platform, we'll discuss a bit more about it in a bit. It's a relatively new platform. I've been able to find a lot of good NBA bets on it, so I definitely recommend signing up. But what you're going to see is, hey, Ayton's line is 25.5 on Parlay Play. OddsJam just reading in data. Underdog Fantasy has him at 24.5. Okay, PrizePicks also has Ayton at 24.5. All the sportsbooks have Ayton at 24.5 or 23.5. So Parlay Plays at 25.5. You got two other fantasy platforms, PrizePicks and Underdog, which work pretty similar to Parlay Play, and they have his line at 24.5. Right? And then all the sports books have his line at 24.5 or 23.5. So Parlay Play, they're way too high, right? All these books, it's honestly kind of funny and pretty fascinating. But the reason sports betting can be so profitable and why I love it so much is all these books, they all try to do this themselves. They all try to set lines independently. So you look at Aaron Gordon, all books have his line at 22.5, right? PrizePicks, Underdog, Parlay Play, every book got his line at 22.5. All the sports books have his line at 22.5. So there's no value in the market, right? You look at Bruce Brown. All the books have his line at 16.5. There's no value in the market. There's no discrepancies. As a sharp bettor, you're kind of like a hunter, right? You're like a savvy investor. You're hunting through the market, looking for those rare few investments or bets that actually have value. Right? An investor, it's not like they make a million investments a day. They're hunting through the market. Where are the underpriced assets? It's no different in sports betting if you want to make money, right? You want to follow the data and hunt for value. And here it's pretty clear Ayton's line is too high, so I took the under. But anyways, pretty cool stuff. Let's go ahead. Let's get into my next pick. So what's interesting about Parlay Play, right? This platform kind of right here, is they don't change your payouts based on you selecting over or under, right? And that's really weird if you think about it, right? So if I go to like the Warriors game, for example, if I want to bet on Curry's over 5.5 assists, it's minus 144. I have to bet $144 to win back 100. The under has a different price. It's plus 118, betting 100 to win 118. So the sportsbook, FanDuel, they're telling us Curry's over 5.5 assists is the favorite outcome. Right, so sportsbooks have odds, right? On Parlay Play, this new type of, fantasy platform that allows you to bet on player props. You can bet player props on FanDuel or Parlay Play, but what makes these fantasy platforms really interesting, like Parlay Play, is they're not changing your payout. You're going to see it's fixed. They're not changing your payout based on you selecting over or under. So what these fantasy platforms assume is you can only get your over-unders correctly, right? If you have no advantage, no edge, you're only going to be able to get these prop bets correct 50% of the time, right? Mike Trout, he's always going to go over half of a run. He's going to have a run, or he's going to go under, right? So if you have no advantage, you're only going to be able to get these prop bets correctly 50% of the time. And that's what Parlay Play assumes. They assume you, me, have no advantage because most sports bettors have no advantage. Most sports bettors are clueless. They have no idea what they're doing. They bet with their gut. If you want to make money, you got to be able to win your player props on Parlay Play. I just reverse engineered their payouts. So I took their payouts for these 6-pick entries, which you can see right here. So this is their payout. And I just backed out what probability or what percentage of your picks do you have to win to be profitable? And the answer is over 53.22% of your picks, right? So if you can get your over-unders correctly, so let's go back here. If you can select player prop bets, just like Trout, over under half of a run, if you can get these right over 53.22% of the time, you're going to be profitable. That's all there is to it. Like, there's nothing more complicated. If you want to make money on Parlay Play or any of these other fantasy platforms, you just need to figure out what percentage of my picks do I need to win to be profitable? Because these platforms, same with PrizePicks, right? These platforms, they assume you can only get your over-unders correctly 50% of the time. So you're going to have to win over 50%, and on Parlay Play, it's 53.22%. So the tool I find to find a lot of my player prop bets that are winning over 53.22% of the time is right here. It's called the OddsJam Positive Expected Value Positive EV tool. Right, so this tool is pretty simple. All it does is it reads in odds from sportsbooks. There's no BS. There's no, inside knowledge from a coach. There's no BS. Everything's just data. Everything about OddsJam is just data. That's why it actually helps people win. There's no BS. It's just data. So what you're going to see is for Harden, every sportsbook, right, you have dozens of data points. All these sportsbooks posting odds are, again, data points. They're all telling you, Harden's unders heavily favored. Harden is a lot more likely to go under 8.5 assists as opposed to over. That's what sportsbooks are telling you through their odds. Just like Curry's more likely to go over 5.5 assists. Jordan Poole's more likely to go under 3.5 assists. And, this is the same for betting on money lines too. The Lakers are favored. The Lakers are more likely to win the game. Right? They're over 50% to win the game. They're the favored team. So, long story short, here, Harden's under is favored. So you can bet with your gut if you want, and you can tell me if you think Harden's going to go over or under, but I'm just saying what the data shows, right? Because the data is what makes money. You can bet with your gut if you want. This is how you make money. You follow the data, every sports book, you have dozens of data points telling you Harden's a lot more likely to go under 8.5 assists as opposed to over. His under is more likely. So his under is a player prop winning over 53.22% of the time, which is why it's on the positive EV tool. We can get this line on Parlay Play. And again, Parlay Play is a platform where they're not varying your payouts based on you selecting over or under. Your payout doesn't change, as you can see right here. So this is exactly what we want. This is exactly what we want. All the books are telling us, Harden is a lot more likely to go under as opposed to over. Harden's under is favored, so this is a sharp player prop bet to go with. So a tool, you may be like, okay, but how do I know it's above 53.22%, right? And what you can do is you can use this little fantasy optimizer. So this tool works for, Underdog. I gave out some plays on Underdog earlier. Like you can see this right here. Wow, Oilers blowing out VGK. McDavid, we have under 4.5 shots. He's at 2. But long story short, like this tool you can use for Underdog, PrizePicks, whatever. But all it does, this little fantasy optimizer, screen fantasy optimizer, is it pulls in odds from sportsbooks, right? And it tells you how likely that play is to hit. So for example, for Harden, his under, we know his under is more likely than the over. So we know the under is above 50% to occur because all the books have his under favored. So we know he's more than 50% to go over according to the market, or under according to the market, less than 50% for the over. But what this tool does, this little fantasy optimizer, is it actually quantifies what's the win probability for your bet. Right? So sportsbook odds relate to win probabilities. And what I mean by that is, like, if we go to the NHL, for example, so if we go and we click into the NHL, you're going to see, like, okay, the Stars are favored to win, and they're a bit more favored than the Maple Leafs, right? So the market, FanDuel, is telling you, hey, the Stars are more likely to win against Seattle than the Maple Leafs are against the Panthers, right? The Stars are the biggest favorites out of these teams. The Kraken are the biggest underdogs, right? The Kraken are plus 122. The Panthers are only plus 112. So the Kraken are, Kraken and Panthers are both underdogs, but the Seattle Kraken are bigger underdogs. They're less likely to win the game than the Florida Panthers. Like you can see here, unsurprisingly, the Oilers are up 4-0. They're minus 10,000. They're really big favorites. So sportsbooks tell you win probabilities through their odds. Right? So if a team, for example, is minus 200 to win, so you can see the A's are minus 200 right now, minus 200 means a 2-1 betting favorite. They're 2/3 to win the game. 2-1 favorite, minus 200, 2/3 to win the game. Now they're minus 210. They're even more than 2/3 to win the game. Right? So all OddsJam is doing is it's reading in these sportsbook odds and then just quantifying, okay, this is the win probability for Harden under 8.5 assists. Right? Harden under 8.5 assists is 53.59% to win. That's over 53.22%, so it's a profitable bet. And I know this isn't, some hot stuff like, we're going to get rich overnight. This is just how you actually get an edge over Parlay Play. Same strategy applies for PrizePicks Underdog, how you make money off these platforms long term. Right? There's no fairy dust to sprinkle on top and just make $1 million. It's all about finding plays with a mathematical edge, finding an advantage. Some bets are going to win, some bets are going to lose. You think about the best investors, they make money sometimes Other investments don't pay off, but because they're ruthlessly looking and hunting for investments with, an edge that are undervalued, the best investors make money. And it's the same thing in sports betting. We're not going to win every bet, but because all of our plays have an edge, we're following the data, we know how parlay play works, we can exploit their inefficiencies and make money on this platform. So you're going to see Bruce Brown under 14.5 points plus rebounds. All the books have his under favored. That's another sharp bet to go with. So long story short, what I ended up going with is Bruce Brown under 14.5 points plus rebounds. Jamal Murray over 2.5 threes. You can see right here all the plays in green. So all these plays in green on parlay play are winning over 53.22% of the time. So when you're using the fantasy optimizer, you just want to take the picks in green, right? The plays in red, like you can see for Trent Grisham, over half of a base. Like sportsbooks have his over, or Jared Vanderbilt under 12.5 points plus rebounds. Sportsbooks have his under favored, but only very slightly, around minus 120. So there's not enough value, just like we showed, like in the NHL, there's different win probabilities for bets, right? So the Stars are more likely to win than the Maple Leafs and then the Devils, according to the markets being put out on FanDuel Sportsbook. So long story short, you need to make sure the bet is favored enough. So for example, for Harden, it's not minus 120, it's around minus 135 on all these sportsbooks. So the under is a lot more likely than the over. So that's why this play is profitable, because it's above 53.22%. 51% would mean you're still unprofitable. If you can just get a slight advantage, like you can think about it, if you're winning 51% of your picks, you're still not going to be profitable on on parlay play, but you do have a slight edge, right? You're winning 51% of your picks, you're only losing 49%, so you're winning more than you're losing, but you're not winning enough. Right? You need to win 53.22%. So you need to find spots where sportsbooks have an under or an over around minus 135, minus 115. That doesn't cut it, right? That doesn't cut it. So all the plays in green are player prop bets on parlay play that are winning over 53.22% of the time. Again, the same strategy. It applies for PrizePicks, Underdog, same strategy, same concepts. James Harden under 8.5 assists. Tatum under 33.5 points plus assists. So what you're going to see is for Tatum, PrizePicks, Underdog Fantasy. I found this play on the screen as well. They have the line at 32.5. Parlay play, 33.5. They're too high, so we want to take the under. For Al Horford, PrizePicks and Underdog have his line at 14.5 points plus rebounds. Parlay plays 14, so we found value, right? And then we have Ayton under 25.5 PRAs. So 6 picks on parlay play to win $14.50. 6 sharp picks, all with an edge. Hopefully this video was helpful. I try to make them educational, kind of explain how to beat these sports books. Let's make some money, guys.